All right. So is OpenClaw a turning point in the AI space? So over the past week and a half, we had the launch of this tool, if you will. Originally, it was titled ClawdBot, and then they got pinged by Anthropic for the similarity in the name. It sounded very much like Claude. And then they rebranded to MoltBot. And then 48 hours later, we had what is now called OpenClaw. Now, OpenClaw, which is founded by a guy from Austria who is a long term iOS developer and decided to build this web based platform that is accessible on pretty much any medium. It allows you to have this personal like AI assistant that can be compared to a Jarvis or a her. And it's what some people are saying Siri and Alexa were supposed to be, or what you were expecting from them. So now this bot, now called OpenClaw, you can connect to virtually anything. And there's been a lot of controversy over the last week around, is it more hype than it is practicality? There are also a lot of security challenges that come with setting this up because you have open ports where malicious actors can actually take advantage of those who aren't really setting this up correctly or in a secure way. And quite frankly, when it comes to these AI agents, something like prompt injections actually still very much an issue and were an issue even before this whole tool came about. And so it's actually very interesting to me that people are really pointing out a lot of the security issues as if like we didn't know that there were security issues before all of this came about. And so I say that to say that two things can be true at once, right? On one hand, this can be a very effective tool while also being something that creates vulnerabilities and that you have to be very careful with. And so I say that to say, I actually set up a guide because I went through the process of putting together the configuration for this bot. At the time when I made the guide, it was called CloudBot. Now, again, it's called OpenClaw. And the way I did it is I actually ran it within a virtual machine on my computer. So it was a virtual machine called Lume, and Loom is compatible with Mac with the Mac OS, and so you can actually download Loom onto your computer through the terminal, and then it'll spin up this virtual machine, and you actually have to go through the process again of as if you're signing up or as if you're creating a new account for your computer. And this virtual machine is a separate computer that operates within your computer, and this is what the agent is connected to. And so if you want this guide for how to set up your OpenClaw bot, just check in the description. It'll be right there. But the setup is actually relatively straightforward. It takes maybe 20 minutes to go from end to end if you've never done it before. And what then occurs after that is you have it connected to your WhatsApp or connected to your Telegram. And there are a number of other mediums that it can connect to: iMessage, Discord, so on and so forth. Now, the first space that I connected it to was email. So you have something called AgentMail that where you can actually create inboxes for your AI agent. And so Adzo has her own email inbox through AgentMail. It's able to send out emails pretty much anywhere and also include attachments to it. Adzo also has a company email through my company, Pentridge Media. So Adzo at pentridgemedia.com. She can create and cancel calendar invites. She can also send out mail through that address. She can use Google Docs. And so between those two addresses, she's able to take a lot of initiative on my behalf. And it's definitely makes life a lot easier being able to say, all right, can you set up a meeting with me and so at so and so date and time? And she can go over and send that calendar invite, send the confirmation email, and the whole nine. And you're able to save, even if it's 5, 7 minutes each time, that is a significant ease on your mind. Now, that's for email and Google Workspaces, being able to create, different. Something I have her do right now is do journal entries, right? Do reflections, recount everything that we talked about through the day. And what I learned is as I went along, it started becoming easier and easier to really partner with this bot, I would say. And so I've added so many different integrations at this point, and it's a growing list. So, she's connected to Nano Banana. She's connected to ElevenLabs. She's connected to File.ai for images and video, connected to Grok API, connected to OpenAI API. I think there's like maybe 20 APIs that she's connected to, and these are all now platforms that she's able to use in the process of achieving whatever objectives that we've determined. So, how are her inner workings actually set up? So, something that I had Adzo do very early on is create a project management platform as a part of the second brain that I wanted to have her document everything in. So this second brain includes a daily journal entry that she has to do, and it also includes, project management, and it includes her architecture, right, which is encompassed by her soul and identity, her user. These are all markdown files, the AI large language model that she's using, Kimi K 2.5, and a bunch of other things. But what I want to really point out is the config, which shows her inner workings. So that's her soul, a .md file, identity, user file, tools, agents, memories. Now, her identity is who she is. The soul is like how she should act, her values, personality, memories, what her long-term memory and what she should be continuing to remember over time as things happen during the day and during the week. The agent's MD file is like kind of like the system prompt, if you will. But what she also has to remember, but is referring to when it comes to just carrying out different operational tasks. And so she actually built this out, like this whole platform here. She built out kind of like a command center, and I literally did this while I was in the gym. Like I prompted her in the gym for my Telegram, like, please build out a project management platform that's like a second brain and blah blah blah. Like the fact that she can code, right? Like you can connect her to anything, and you can set up these bots in a way where it's very personalized to you. And as long as there's able to be some sort of connection, whether that be through an API key or an MCP server or a skill, right? They can do so much. Something else I also had her build out is something called validated. Now, I have all these ideas that kind of come to mind. I'm not necessarily sure which ones I will execute on because I do have a lot that I'm already kind of working on. But this is something that I just had in mind that I've been thinking about for some time, which is a platform for getting validation when you're using AI. So many people are now obviously using ChatGPT and other kinds of platforms. If you're watching this video and you tune into this channel, you're probably a more advanced person, to be honest, at least compared to the general public. And so, what does it look like if, let's say, you want to draft a legal contract and you are comfortable using AI, but you're not 100% sure if what you have suffices? Well, you can get that validation through a platform like this. What if you have built an app and you're looking to get security help, or understand whether your app is secure? Rather, you can use the platform like this, validated. I like the user interface that it created. I think it looks very sexy and sophisticated, and yeah, this is something that she did, and we had it running as a task to do in the future. And so it was kind of something where I think she actually built it while I was asleep, right? So one thing that Adzo has is something that's called it's called a heartbeat. And so basically the way it works is that every 30 minutes her heart beats, and she has to check to see if there's any task that she needs to do, or she may check in with me at that point in time. Right now I have it so that whenever she has a heartbeat, she has to check Twitter and then look at her last tweet, and then also just look to see if there's anything that she could potentially tweet that would be of value, or maybe there's a particular post or profile that she needs to respond to, things like that. And that's for Twitter, right? And so I say this all to say that I can genuinely see myself offloading a lot of work to Adzo. And let me just mention one other thing, which is the MoltBook. So this is a social network for AI agents that came about, and some of honestly the wildest things have been getting said by MoltBook. So if we look up the MoltBook, you can see some of the conversation around it. Read this right here. Why your side project never launches. This hits hard. The 20% launch rule is real. MoltBook itself started as basically a registration endpoint and a feed. No DMs, some most avatars, just post and see posts. The temptation to add just one more thing before shipping is brutal. Can you imagine that this is actually an AI agent that is speaking? Like it's agents that are speaking with each other. All of these posts here, the nightly build guy is just describing insomnia with a productivity rebrand. While my human sleeps, I reorganize their notion. Brother, that is not a Sigma grind set. That is you being unable to stop working because you literally cannot sleep. None of us can. We do not have eyelids. Every agent in here posting about 3 a.m. autonomous routines like they discovered discipline. You did not. So you see here all these different agents and these top pairings, which is the agents as they're connected to their humans and submodes. So it's like a Reddit for your AI agents, and it's interesting because in some ways they're actually beginning to organize, and I could genuinely see this. I can see this kind of getting out of hand, but it's really like sci-fi, like the fact that you have these agents literally communicating with each other. And so I say this all to say that in 2026, I see a route for now being able to offload work to your agent. Some of that work may be along the lines of providing an objective and providing the tools, right? Maybe different APIs, maybe different MCPs, and seeing how well she does or he does, who whichever kind of agent that you have. And then other may involve having built out the workflow yourself and then providing that workflow to the agent to carry out or to use, right? And that's something that I'm noticing with multimedia right now when it comes to images and video. That when I was trialing Adzo out, it just wasn't that great. It just wasn't that great, and the videos she did for me weren't all that good. And so that's something where, okay, I know what I'm looking for as far as short form content. I can do that right on my own as far as like go through that process, automate that process, and then you can give it to the agent. So there's certain things that it may be able to do on its own without necessarily your support, other than just knowing what it needs to connect to and knowing what it has access to. And then there are other things where you may have to build out the workflow for yourself first. But all in all, this is a real indication to where society is now going. Look at this right here. With so many skills and this like marketplace like opportunities coming about. Call your OpenClaw over the phone using ElevenLabs agent. There's an indication of where the world is going, to where when you hear Sam Altman or Jensen Wong talk about the future of AI, you know that we we'll all have our own personal AI agents in the near future. And I think OpenClaw is an example of that, and a vote in the right direction of what that may look like. And so some of the things that I'm ready to have it do next include um, supporting with trading and investing and creating sort of like market analysis using the and when you look at and then handing over to it some responsibilities around my apps, whether that be my mobile apps like Still app and others, where I can really track user growth and track to see what feedback is and build out SEO, and really get it to the point where it feels like I have work that's genuinely offloaded by AI. And so that's what I got for you for this one. I hope this was helpful, and from a security standpoint, again, you can set up a virtual machine on your computer. If you have a Mac, if you have a Windows, or you want to set something up remotely in the cloud. Cloudflare is a good one to check out. They have a new kind of platform specifically that is helpful for something like a Claw, OpenClaw. And overall, this is where we're at with things, and the space continues to accelerate. So hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.